Welcome to another episode of This Week in Metropolis. I'm Matt.
And I'm Batman. No, not really. It's me.
Oh,
It's James. It's me.
I'm disappointed now, if I'm honest.
Welcome to another episode. This week we're talking about the future. And well, it's not like that future. It's not like space cars and all that sort of stuff. We're talking about things that we're excited that are coming soon in the next few months.
Lots and lots of exciting things, which you'll find out in a minute. But in the meantime, while we've got your attention, please do follow us on all of the social platforms, because we're on every single one. Instagram, Twitter, MySpace, Tinder, all of those ones that you're familiar with. YouTube, if you want to watch us, and Spotify, and all the other listening, streamy, podcasty places that you can hear us. So yeah, do check us out. Yeah, so we are back with another episode, and what we want to do, let's just pause for a moment and reflect on things we did in previous episodes. And one thing we do want to plug, because we do want everyone to check it out, and if you've heard the episode that we did about AI, you would have heard that and would have seen in some instances that we made a track, and this was a piece of music that we made completely using AI. So it was generated for us, and James had his world debut singing on it, and it sort of chewed his vocals up a bit and sort of put them in the track as well. So if you haven't heard it, please do check it out. It is on all major streaming platforms. So it's on Apple, it's on Amazon, it's on Spotify. All you need to search is We Are TWIM, and the song is I Am Matt Healy. So nice and easy to find.
I reckon we could get that to number one by Christmas. You know,
I reckon we could as well.
If we pull in all the listeners and all the viewers, we could make this happen. We can make
Christmas
a dream come true.
You've heard this here first.
Exactly.
But one dream, good link there, really. One dream that has come true in the past week or so. You may have remembered me saying that we had a few things sort of bubbling over. And yeah, one came into reality, which is
amazing.
Sega Mania magazine. And you'll remember from the last series, we had the guys from Sega Mania telling us about how they made this, why they made it, and so on. It's an awesome thing that they're doing. But the extra exciting bit is, here we are. We are on the back cover, which is an absolute dream come true for someone who's spent a lot of times, particularly in the 90s, reading these sorts of magazines, which is the inspiration for these guys in creating Sega Mania. We're on it, which is amazing. And they even give us a mention in the inside as well, which is so kind. So if you haven't bought this, do. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. You can get digital and print versions of these things. And
it's an awesome mag. It is an awesome mag.
It's a great mag. Even if you don't care if we're on it, check it out, because it's a good magazine as well.
A proper trip down memory lane it is. And it's highly recommended. The guys are doing great stuff there. They're already got issue 3 in the works. So and as well as that, you can actually get their first issue on digital copy for free now. So
really?
You can go on their website, you can download the digital copy for free.
Perfect.
So why not?
Exactly. Nothing to lose.
Yeah. So thanks again to Tim and the guys for all the help they've given us.
Yeah, definitely. So as James said earlier in this episode, we're talking about the future, but really probably the next 12 months is, so it's the near future for us.
We've narrowed it down.
Yeah, exactly. Forget about anything after that. No one cares. This future is the exciting stuff that we're looking forward to in terms of games, in terms of films, in terms of music, and all these different things. And there's a lot to be excited about. So, you know, we've got loads of things that we're looking forward to. But leading on from Sega, there was a bit of news, which was weirdly, the Sega news was in the Nintendo Direct. announcement, which I've got a Switch at home, and one really cool thing that, to be honest, is underused for me, and I really need to start getting on it, is if you pay the online service, which allows you to play online games, which is, to be honest, is pretty reasonable. It costs less than £20 a month. I think I've got the family plan, which is £30. You get more than one account on it. It gives you access to their classic games. So you've got a load of NES games on there at the moment. You've got a load of SNES games on there at the moment that you can play within an app, and they're sort of not recreations, but faithful reproductions of the original thing. However, in the Nintendo Direct announcement, they announced that they're moving up to the next generation for Nintendo, which is the N64, which is a console I never had, so I'm not overly familiar with it. But I'm sure the fans will be over the moon, because you've got things like Mario Kart 64, Mario 64. But a big one that I know...
GoldenEye?
No, GoldenEye wasn't on there. I think, I'll be honest, I think there's that many third-party titles. But what they tend to do is you get sort of a certain amount of games initially, like they did with the NES and the SNES. Get a certain amount of games initially, and then they gradually add more. I think they're mainly sticking to their own titles at the moment. But Zelda and the Ocarina of Time, which I know...
Incredible. That's my favourite one.
Yeah, huge game for sort of Zelda fans is coming to it. And I know that the thing is, I know a lot of people they still have N64s and they still play them, or getting the cartridges, but the games are going up and up in price now, like the physical ones. And I know you can get the ROMs, you can get an emulator, you can play a lot of these games now. Obviously, it's a grey area illegally, but you can do it. They're there. But I think it is cool that it's something I think that Nintendo should do more. More than anything, because they've got such an amazing back catalogue. And I know, with their 30th anniversary of certain things, they'll charge you an extortionate amount of money just for an emulated version of an old game. I think it's nice if they're giving back a little bit with these.
Yeah, definitely.
But I digress in terms of, I said it was Sega news, and so far I've not mentioned anything Sega. However, the surprising thing is they're adding Mega Drive games to it, or Genesis if you're elsewhere in the world, which is a real surprise. But I guess they've got quite a good relationship with Sega, I believe, because you've got like Mario and Sonic at the Olympics and things like that, and there have been a few crossovers with their things. But again, that's a bit of a coup, isn't it, getting those sort of games on there?
It's awesome for Nintendo and the Switch, which has done well in its own right with what it offers you as a games player, or a gamer, should I say. But to add that back catalogue, which, when you look at what Xbox are doing with all their back catalogue pretty much available on Game Pass, PlayStation, a lot of that is backwards compatible, and there's PS4 games and PS3 games that are kind of added into the store all the time. For Nintendo, it was probably an area that they weren't doing as much on. So to bring in, like I think we discussed before, I think they had NES and SNES games on there, but now to bring in the 64 and even Sega games, that just opens up a massive market for them. And certainly for people of our generation, who want to play them old classics, it's more of a reason to go and get yourself one of the Switches.
No, definitely. And I think with Sega, personally, I don't know whether people would disagree with this. Like you've had with the Nintendo, them releasing the classic consoles and that, I think they absolutely nailed it, and they did really, really good job. Whereas I feel some of there have been like third-party Sega ones that have been released over the years, and they've been a bit hit and miss. Like for whatever reason, I guess because Sega is mainly a publishing company now, it didn't really do anything physical. That it's not giving it the service or like the treatment it's deserved. And I think having it on the console like the Switch, and I think you can get that there's a company, I think they call 8-Bit Do, something like that, and they do reproduction Bluetooth controllers for the Switch and things like that. So no doubt you'll be able to get a Bluetooth Sega Mega Drive controller, and you can still have pretty much authentic experience. The only difference is it's connected via HDMI to your computer, and it looks to your TV, sorry, and it looks great. But some of the games, some real classics, and I know we've spoken about recently, you enjoy, like, things like Streets of Rage. They're going to put on their Contra, Strider, so like there's real sort of action games. Echo the Dolphin as well, which I think was always a favourite. Yeah. So yeah, some really good titles that they're launching, and it's not long to wait either, because they only announced it yesterday, I believe it was, on day 4, and they're all coming out in October. So it'll just be a case of updating the app, and then it's you're good to go, which is really cool. I look forward to checking those out.
That should be really cool to see how it looks as well, whether it's kind of remastered as well, I don't know. But just having it on a proper system now, you know, and the Switch isn't kind of to the same level as the PS5 or the Xbox at the moment, but just to have something that's you know, like you said as well, with the ways that you can play them now, it offers you something extra, I think, which is, you know, it won't do them any harm, put it that way.
The mentality with gaming needs to change, and I think that if you're really into games or really into retro games, I think you appreciate older games anyway. Like, or if you've grown up with it, if like you've grown up with a particular game, you'll have a fondness for it. But I think the industry is at a point now where it should be equivalent to films, and that's sort of the comparison I'll make, or music. Like, you think of today, for example, when we're recording, one of my favourite albums of all time, and one that shaped, you know, my music taste for many years to come, Nirvana's Nevermind came out. Now, that's 30 years old, but I will still listen to it in the same way as I did the day that it came out. And same with films. You know, you watch an 80s film, or you'll watch a 90s film, and you'll enjoy it and you'll love it, and you won't necessarily look and think, oh, well, I don't really want to watch that because that's old. Whereas games, I think because it was always based on like technological progress, and you know, we talk about a new console and we think, oh wow, looking at it, 60 FPS and it's blah blah blah, and all this sort of stuff. You focus more on the hardware rather than the actual thing. Whereas now we should look back at these games and we should think, well, actually, that's a really good game. It doesn't matter how old it is, you know. It's really important. And I think the thing is as well, with a lot of this stuff, it's got to, the beauty of digital is it can be available. There's no reason why it can't. You shouldn't have to go on eBay and buy an old cartridge for something. It's there, and it can be easily emulated full to play, because otherwise these games will get lost, and they're important parts of history as such, in the same way as old films are. And why shouldn't our kids play them, you know, and previous later generations playing these games for what they are? Yeah,
like you say, it's a key part in history of where it's at today.
Yeah,
you know, everything that we're playing today, and it's, like you said, it relates back to music, it relates back to movies. It all links back to where it started to some point. It might be a particular game that has influence on games of today, the modern games. So I completely agree. But speaking of Nintendo making announcements, wow, what an announcement we got, and we posted about it today. Nintendo and Illumination Studios are going to be making a Super Mario Brothers movie, an animated one, and the cast, or the voice cast, have already been announced. What were your thoughts?
I'm really excited about it, to be honest. I think it's, you know, the fact Illumination are doing it, they can't really make a bad one. Do you know what I mean?
Were they the ones that done Minions?
Yeah, exactly. So they've done Minions, Despicable Me. I believe they also did Ice Age. I may be wrong with that, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think they've done a few of those sort of big films. So yeah, they've got a fantastic track record. No, maybe I'm wrong with Ice Age. I don't know. Anyway, they did Despicable Me, so like they're brilliant. So
Yeah.
let's hope. And like you said, the cast that they've got for it is so good, isn't it? You know, Chris Pratt as Mario, which I think when you think it is a bit of an odd combo, but I like Chris Pratt. You know, again, he's funny, and
I think he can work.
I don't know how his terrible Italian accent's going to be, but you know.
Charlie Day as Luigi as well is an interesting one. I think because I know him from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's what he's off of.
So I had to look it up because I didn't actually recognise who he was because I've not watched that.
Yeah, I've seen him in a few films as well. I think he was in Without a Paddle. If you've ever seen that, that's quite a funny one. Yeah. So yeah, he's cool. But then you've got the girl who plays what's her name in Guardians? She's the one who can read their minds or whatever.
Is she? See,
which is Anya
Taylor-Joy. Is going to be Peach. She was apparently in the she was something I had to look up and I didn't know. She was in the Queen's Gambit apparently, which is a really big show on Netflix. I believe it was in the last 12 months, but again, not one that I've seen, so I wasn't too familiar with her. But to be honest, the one that I'm most excited about is Bowser being Jack Black.
Amazing.
How cool is that?
Him and Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. I think exactly. them two for me are the ones that kind of caught my eye, and I was like, this could be really fun. Especially Jack Black. I think he's amazing anyway. But yeah, it's for an announcement to come out of the blue as well, because I hadn't seen any sort of rumours that they were even talking about making a film, and for it to come out and all of these people have just been announced.
They're clearly taking it very seriously, aren't they?
And don't forget, there's still other characters that they could keep for a sequel or just keep, close to their chest until nearer the time. This film's due to come out December next year, so 2022. I'm excited for it. I think, when we've seen what they've done with Sonic, for example, I don't think this is going to be at all kind of a mixture of animation and live action. I think it will be fully animation. Just based on, like you said, with like how they've done Minions and things like that, I imagine it'll be a similar style. But when you see what they can do now with animation, it's promising. Because the last Mario film I can think of is that live action one, which was that Bob Hoskins or something like that? Bob Hoskins,
and I can't remember the other gentleman's name, but he's a very famous actor as well, isn't he?
God, I remember that. It was awful, wasn't it?
I've never seen it. And the only reason I've never seen it is because everyone said how awful it was, so I've never watched it. Although I did, me being the absolute geek that I am, I did download a fan edit of it, which added all this extra stuff that had been cut out. So it's got all these additional scenes and stuff that allegedly makes it better. But I've still not watched it. But it's waiting for me to watch. Maybe a review will be in a later episode.
At a future time, we'll get that out there. Okay, well, coming up, we are going to be talking about games, movies, and music that are coming soon to eyes and ears. But we'll be talking about that after this.
Do you like wrestling? Do you like wrestling YouTube? Well, I tell you what, I've got just the place for you. SCW, the wrestling channel, available on youtube.com right now, giving you predictions, reviews, interviews, looking back at classic pay-per-views, Q&As, and much, much more. Special guests joining on the channel as well, and an interactive service where your voice can be heard, talking WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, and much, much more. So without further ado, go to youtube.com, type in SCW, the wrestling channel right now, super kick that subscribe button, also turn on notifications by hitting the bell. You can be updated each and every time a video is released. So don't delay, make sure SCW is part of your day. Hundreds of videos are waiting for you to check out now, and regularly new updated videos recorded and live coming to you very soon.
That was Steve from SCW, the wrestling channel. If you are a wrestling fan, which I'm the one who kind of got him into doing it. So if anything, this should, it should actually be called James's mate Steve Chats Wrestling. But anyway, that's another story. No, but seriously, it's a great show. Steve knows his stuff. He's very passionate about wrestling. So if you like wrestling, check out his channel. We'll put the link in the description. But moving on to things that are coming soon. I've written a list down here, Matt, of films that, everyone knows they're coming. Do you know what I mean? But it's just good to know that these ones, because we talked about it earlier today and there was a few that you'd forgotten about. And it's mad to think that they're actually coming in 2021 as well. So
big films as well.
Yeah, big films. Well, big films. The first one that's coming out soon I think this is on the 1st of October, is Venom 2. Let There Be Carnage. Now, I know you're a bit sceptical about it, but one thing I did see, and Mark actually posted about it the other day, is the director for it has actually said the film is only 90 minutes long, which seems short for quite a big Sony superhero, you know. I can't remember how long the first Venom was. It felt longer, I'll be honest.
3 days.
But he wants to keep it short because he doesn't want to drag out things for no reason. He wants it to be punchy. He wants it to be dramatic. And I think that's probably for the better.
Yeah. I to be honest, always used to be the case. I think, a lot of, again, like talk about older films. We watch a lot of older films, particularly like the 80s action ones and stuff. Hour 30, hour 40, it's a sweet spot. You set it up, you get the story out of the way, you're in it, and then you come to the conclusion, and it's great, and you can walk away.
100%.
So often, and I know we've spoken about it before, particularly having a family, having responsibilities and so on, quite often you'll sit there and it'll be like 9:30 or something. You think, should we watch a film? And I'm looking at the clock thinking, well, what time is it? And like, how long's this film? And then what time's that going to end? It's ridiculous. It must be a sign of getting old. But when a film is then 2 hours, 40 minutes, and you're thinking, what? That's not a chance. I'm not watching that now. Yeah.
Got work tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
What we should have done for this, we should have had little boards made with hit or miss or excited or not excited. Are you excited about Venom or not really?
Well, see, I saw the original, or saw the first Venom film with Tom Hardy. I thought Riz Ahmed was brilliant. I thought his bits, like as the crazy sort of what was he? He's like a billionaire sort of type, like doing experiments on people, and that was a really good bit. That was
he was like an evil Elon Musk.
Yeah, that's it. He was, wasn't he? And I thought he was great. And that part of the story I thought was really good. And a bit that unfortunately spoiled it, which was really surprising, was the whole Eddie Brock sort of side of it with Tom Hardy. Because it's that whole slapstick thing. And it is, I just didn't get it. And then, unfortunately, seeing the trailer for this new one, and it was just cringy. The whole thing of like him making breakfast and then like Venom's talking to him, and oh god,
it just made it too jokey, didn't it?
Yeah.
And now you're going to have two of them because you've got Woody Harrelson who's Carnage. I don't know whether the character of Carnage is going to be similar to Venom or not. I wouldn't have expected it to, because I can't remember it being like that in the cartoons. But
if you think like if no one had seen the first one and like you said, well, look, this is a Marvel film. It's got Tom Hardy in it, and it's got Woody Harrelson in it. You'd think, come on, that's got to be a good film, isn't it? I don't know who's directing it. I don't know what that guy's reputation is, but on paper, Tom Hardy, he's a great actor, isn't he? Yeah. He's made some fantastic films. He's been involved with such amazing stuff. Woody Harrelson as well. You know, he's so diverse in what he's done, and in recent years, like he's proved himself as a very sort of straight, sort of dramatic actor, as a comedy actor. He knows what he's doing, doesn't he? So it's got all the signs of a good film, but
and you know, sadly, I'm not going to reveal anything because I don't think it's fair. I actually have already seen a spoiler for the post-credit scene as well, because there's been previews to it. I don't know whether that was in the States, but there's been previews already, and Tom Hardy was actually there at one of these ones. He said, please don't film what happens at the end and share it online or whatever. Sadly, people did, and I stumbled across it and I was reading it. I went, what is this? And lo and behold, so I won't say what it is, but I do know what happens after, which could set what happens further in the future, and I'm sure we'll talk about that another time. The week after Venom, you'll be excited about this one, I imagine, because it's Daniel Craig's last appearance as James Bond in No Time to Die.
Yeah. I would have been excited about it if it had came out when it was supposed to, last year or the year before or whenever it was. But I know we've spoke about this loads of times because it's been pending for so long, hasn't it? And I'm a big Bond fan. I grew up with Bond and so on. And I love Daniel Craig as Bond. I thought he brought a really good dynamic to it. For God's sake, I just want to watch the film. And I feel now they've postponed it so long. And in somewhere, and you know, again, correct me if I'm wrong with this, with almost like this arrogance of, well, no, we're waiting for for it to come out in cinemas. So we're not doing it on this streaming stuff. You know, it has to be in the cinema. Like, come on, who cares? We just want to watch it. So let me watch the film, and I'll decide whether it's good or not. Not where I can watch it or how I can watch it. It just seemed a bit silly, and I wonder if it will affect their. I'm sure they'll do all right in the box office, and they'll earn plenty of money, and people will still go and see it. But I wonder if anyone else feels the same. You know, if it's.
Yeah, I think for me personally, not being a huge Bond fan, I've seen all of them, but you know, it's not kind of like they're my one of my favourite films ever made, or favourite series of films. What I'm looking forward to in this one is seeing Rami Malek in it. Who's
God, yeah, you know what? I forgot he was even in it. It's been so
long.
It's been so long ago.
It's been so long. So I'm actually excited to see what he brings to it, because I don't see him as like, I see him as a bit like not a physical villain in it. I see him more of a evil sort of character.
He's like a psychological. He's very good at like Mr. Robot. He was very much in his head for like most of that, but he's got a great way of projecting it, hasn't he?
Exactly. But still in October, following that, we've got June, or as we call it up in Norfolk, Dune.
It's on Tuesday.
Which, blimey, we talked about this
a long while ago, because we remembered it was with a friend of the show, Paul Bajaya, was on there, and we was talking about that then, and that seems like, I don't know.
It's another one that got set back, wasn't it? I think, again with it.
But that's actually out at the cinema, isn't it? It's out somewhere. I don't know where it's out, but I saw that.
Do you know what it is? It's out a lot of places. I actually saw a poster on Twitter, I think, and it had a list of all the different countries and when it was being released. And the UK was about 13th out of 20 different countries. And for some reason, it's not just gone out everywhere. It's really strange. Excited about that one?
Yeah, very. I've not seen the original. I really need to watch the original, and that's definitely on the list of seeing, because it's meant to be such a cult classic. And Paul was saying about how amazing it is. So I really want to watch that before I've seen the new one. I don't know if that's a good way of doing it, but it just looks so cool. I think it looked, coming at it completely naive to anything about it. It just looked brilliant. And it's got a really good cast, isn't it? And I think it'll be a good one. And it's one I find it's not one that I don't think's had a great deal of hype, has it? So it's not that I've noticed.
Well, do you know what? I felt it did when it was first announced and the first trailer came out. But again, like you said, if we go back, that was probably in March, April last year that we talked about it, maybe. Which seems, such a long time ago now. That's when all the buzz was about it. So,
but I know I did read today, and that's coming to streaming platforms quite soon. I think that's coming to HBO Max. I think it's the end of October, something like that.
Okay.
So, and I quite like that. They're not messing around. Here's the film. Watch it in cinema if you want, but you've not got to wait that long until you could watch it at home. I think that's a fair balance to do.
It helps people, doesn't it? I think, because not everyone's as comfortable still yet with going to the cinema as well. So if you can see it, 4 or 5 weeks after it's been released in the cinemas, then why not? I mean,
best of both worlds, isn't it?
Shang-Chi, that's going to be on Disney Plus beginning November, so you haven't got to wait long to see that. So, but speaking of November, two big ones coming out in November. I'll wrap them together. First one, Eternals. Second one, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Two, I think, obviously two very different films. One in the Marvel franchise. Yeah. One, I think it's going to be a sequel. I don't really know where it sits
sort
yet.
of is.
And again, there's, well, of course, yeah, because actually it's the nephew or something like that, isn't it? Or his grandson.
It's Egon's granddaughter, isn't it?
Right.
So Egon Spengler from the original films, it's his granddaughter, I think, from what I remember from the trailer.
And they discover all the bits and pieces in the shed and all that
stuff. Yeah. So it's almost, I think they're doing it. It's sort of an equivalent timeline to, like, in the film's timeline, it's the same amount of time since, 84 when we saw the film, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So that much time has passed. I to be honest though, like, being a fan of Ghostbusters as a whole, I don't know what to think. I felt that the first trailer I saw, I thought, wow, this is, it's intriguing, the way it was made, and like the sort of Paul Rudd. You can't often go wrong with Paul Rudd. I think he's a pretty solid choice. But then the last trailer, I felt like it was trying to fit so much into it. It was almost like they were trying to service the fans, but they were sort of trying too much. Oh look, there's Stay Puft. Oh look, they're Mini Stay Puft. And oh look, there's Slimer. Or there's this. And look, there's Ecto-1. Yeah. And it was just like, I feel like I've seen the film.
Do you feel like that may be because you're obviously a fan of the originals? I mean, I was a fan, but I was still quite young when I saw them, I think.
I saw the first one. I vividly remember seeing the first one at the cinema. So I would have been 6 when I saw that first one there.
But obviously with this, it's going to bring a lot of new eyes to it as well. So a lot of youngsters won't be familiar with Stay Puft or Slimer or things like that. So to see them, they're going to be like, wow, what's that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
hopefully,
I guess you've got to tick a few boxes with it to appeal to the new generation as well. Oh,
definitely.
Because the director is actually the original director's son, isn't it? Did you know that?
I don't know. Really don't know.
I'm sure it is. I'll have to fact check that afterwards. But
and I do know, in terms of spoilers for this, I saw, but saying that spoilers, it was so long ago that I saw these spoilers that the actors are in it. So Egon's dead, unfortunately. I can't remember the gentleman's name. Harold Ramis, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
I can't remember. But yeah, he died. But Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and who was Winston? What's his name? I can't remember the actor's name. They're still around and still acting. But it was probably a year.
Wasn't it on the trailer at the end? Isn't it Dan Aykroyd who answers the phone?
Yes, he does. But no, there was a different thing. They announced, I can't remember whether it was like one of the toy cons or something like that. They previewed the toys for this film because they're doing the whole merchandise, and all the characters were in it. So it was blatantly obvious that so they are in it. That's answered that question. Yeah. But again, that was ages ago that happened. It seems like forever since we saw it.
That has been in the works for a while. I remember seeing that trailer.
I was just going to say, the thing I would say though with this, and it may be a controversial thing, is that I'm a big fan of Ghostbusters. The first one, incredible. Second one, all right. I loved the one that they did in 2016, maybe it was, with
the female version,
a whole female cast. That was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I loved it. And I find it a bit of a shame that I think it got a lot of bad reception from sort of the community as such. Now people were a bit put out by it, and I think it was a certain amount of sexism with it, if I'm very honest. And they've buried it. Like, you never hear of that anymore. Like, there should have been a sequel to that film because they were brilliant. Yeah, in it, all the cast that played it were great. It had Chris Hemsworth in it, who was incredible. Like, his character in it was an idiot. He was an absolute idiot. But
wasn't he like the receptionist or something like that?
Yeah, he was the receptionist. He was just eye candy, but he was thick, absolutely thick. He had a dog. And the joke in it is he says he's got a dog, and his dog's called My Cat. And they go, it's called My Cat. It's like, yeah, 2 words, Mike, hat. You know, that's the dog's name. It's just silly jokes like that, and he wears glasses without glassing.
Right.
But yeah, it was a really good film, and it had, you know, such comedians like Melissa McCarthy and you know, awesome. I loved it. I thought it was great, but it feels like, because certain people were upset in the fact that they did an all-female Ghostbusters, they've almost like they've erased it from history. It's like, oh, it's okay now. We're going back with what is familiar to everyone. Oh, look, Bill Murray's in it. It's okay. Yeah,
Well,
it's a bit of a shame.
But I think what you got to remember is this is completely separate from that. It's not like the directors of that female cast version have
No, that's it.
decided to change. This was separate. It's the original director's son. That's why I'm definitely sure of that. Who's been working on this in the background for a while, and obviously the problem is it does give a buzz because it's, if you're bringing back original cast. I mean, the only problem is it's like you said, it's like 30 years on now. So
nearly 40, isn't
nearly,
it?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But I do think without dwelling on it too much, I'm sure I read somewhere that when they wrote 1 and 2, there was a third. I think it was called Ghostbusters in Hell or something like that. So there was a script, and that was in existence, but for whatever reason, it never got made. So I don't know sort of how much of that is now in this one as such.
Well, the other one I mentioned at the start of this was Eternals, which comes out on the 5th of November. I am buzzing to see this. I'm going to be going down to London to watch it with Mark as well. Yeah. I honestly think this could be up there with like the Avengers and things like that. Which, and the thing is, they're characters that I'm not even familiar with. But just from watching the trailer, I think it gives you enough of the story, but doesn't give you all the answers, obviously, otherwise that'd be pointless. But it plants enough seeds for you to go, what the hell, what's this all about? And I've done a post about it on our Instagram page and that, which people can still check out now. I just think the cast in it, the story, how it fits in to the MCU, kind of, we're in phase 4 now, obviously, but there's a question in it. I remember saying to you after seeing the trailer, it was like, why didn't they come back? They're these people that have apparently been on Earth, or they're as humans, but they've been on Earth for centuries, and they only interfere when I think they're deviants or something like that, interfere. So they only get involved to sort out these deviants, I think they're called. And so one of the other people, like a normal human, says, why didn't you interfere when Thanos came? And I love the fact that there's a reference to Endgame there, or to Infinity War, and I want to know why they didn't. Yeah. And there's a higher up who tells them that they can't do these things. So there's different layers to it, and I'm intrigued to see where they go with that. And I honestly think it could be one that we see. You might have 2 or 3 of these. I honestly think it's that potential there.
And it'll be interesting because it will show, like, from, again, I think we mentioned last week when you watched the phase 2 sort of introduction with Kevin Feige, who was talking about what was coming, and there was so much new stuff and there was so much unfamiliar stuff. Yeah. But we've now seen WandaVision, we've now seen Loki, and we've now seen, you know, sort of these things that, like Shang-Chi has come out and with huge, like, amazing response, and there is stuff that we've been eased into it, and I think it's a good time now to have something that, of course, if you read the comics, you'll be completely familiar with these characters, but like the general man on the street like myself or you isn't, and that's fine. We can still watch this film now and think, oh right, that's that's how it fits in, and definitely. I hope it's good. I trust Disney in what they do. They know how to make really good films, and with the cast that they've got for this, again, like we were saying with Mario, I mean, with these guys, they've got proper actors, haven't they, in it? So we'll see.
It's interesting. We only really need to talk about one of the ones that's coming out in December. There's two, one on the 17th and one on Christmas Eve, which is madness. The one on Christmas Eve is The Matrix Resurrections, which I can't believe is coming out that quickly, really, when we've only really just had the trailers come out for it.
But again, was one that it feels like ages ago that it was first announced, but it's come really quickly, it feels now.
But we did talk quite a bit about The Matrix last week, a couple of weeks ago, when we done our AI episode. But the other one is Spider-Man No Way Home. So, and there's still so much on that is yet to be, is Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield going to be in it? We'll have to wait and see. There's been a lot of press chat with, certainly with Andrew Garfield recently. I think he was on Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, one of them late night shows in America. And he was adamant that he's not in it, but I kind of feel like
he's not going to say yes, though, is he? He's got Disney.
He'd only say yes if he was Tom Holland.
Well, yeah, but he's got. I think though, if you think about it, Tom Holland's on like a sure thing, isn't he? He's done a few films now. He's well into the Marvel universe. Andrew Garfield's probably been out of work for a little while, and he's got this. He's got this break now. And he's got, Sony's lawyers breathing down his neck and like Disney's lawyers breathing down his neck. He ain't going to say anything, is he? Of course he's not.
Exactly.
He's a sensible chap. It's interesting. Tobey Maguire. I mean, I wonder if Tobey Maguire has been doing any press. Clearly, because I can't remember the last thing I saw him in. It was probably Spider-Man 3, wasn't it? I don't know whether he acted after that, but he's.
It's weird because there's actors like him. There's actors. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe's another one. When you think of, I always just think of him as Harry Potter. I know he's been in a few films, but I couldn't.
He's done a load of stuff. Yeah, there's one on Amazon at the moment, and
it's supposed to be really good.
Guns Akimbo.
That's it.
That one.
It's supposed to be really good.
I saw that pop up. I was like, wow, I forgot. I remember seeing the trailer for that.
He has him like. The guns are like surgically
attached to his hand, aren't they? I think.
Yeah. I've been told that's supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
So I will be checking that out. But yeah, so there you go. That's not all the films obviously coming out, but they're just some that I've picked out, which is, there's 7 blockbusters there really.
Yeah, it's ending with it's certainly ending on a high, isn't it, this year?
Definitely. Well, speaking of Spider-Man there, we can switch gears into games that are coming. Again, there's only 5 that I've picked out here, but the first one is obviously one for me. Your boys will probably have it as well, FIFA 22. The less said about that, the better, because, that's FIFA tends to be the only game that I play. So I will be getting that.
Look, what you have to say, now you've brought it up, FIFA is always about, like, every year they add a 1 to the name, but also allegedly they have these life-changing improvements on it. So, like, what are the life-changing improvements this time that warrant that extra 80 quid they want you to pay for it?
Yeah. What are the changes this year? Sadly, they build up the changes that they're going to be like groundbreaking, and they never usually are. I think we will see a difference in this one because although 21 came out on the new gens, it was a slight upgrade from the PS4 or the Xbox One. With the 22, they've changed, so the goalkeepings are supposed to be a lot better on it, and I was actually fortunate enough to be invited to play the beta of it. So I've played the beta version, and it is decent. You can see certain touches that are better, but I don't think until the full game comes out you won't notice all the changes. I think I remember talking to you about it with the beta. There's like, if you've got the ball with one of your players and there's a teammate in space, they'll be like gesturing to you, like to pass them the ball.
And that is really cool, isn't it?
Or pointing really somewhere. And if you don't pass to them, they like, you know, throw a hissy fit about it. So there's things like that. There's more intelligent runs, and going back to AI, you know, they're more inclined. That you're not having to make sure that other players are making the runs, because you can press certain buttons to make other players do a darting run, you know, off of the back of a defender or whatever. But this AI will work it out a lot better. You see the defense move together a lot better, and there's a few things that are better. I think the problem is a lot of fans are complaining that the career mode has really been kind of left to rot a lot. So I'm hoping that we see big improvements in that, because they put a lot of their attention into Ultimate Team and the Street thing that came back I think that was a couple of games ago now, which I've never even used, to be honest.
I think that's an ongoing problem, though, and I don't know whether it's just because we're getting old. Like, they seem to be so many games now. Will come out and like almost like the campaign mode or like the story mode or whatever is a bit of a token thing.
Yeah.
Whereas it was always the other way around. But naturally, these companies focus online because it will give you that longevity of it, or less so with FIFA because they do another one every year. But it's a good way of selling your stuff, which I think is a, you know, they'll give you like a season pass or like whatever that it is, and you get new stuff and you have to pay for that if you want some extra things. And it's a shame because it just you spend a lot of money on the game and then they expect you to spend more. But hey, it's the nature of the beast now, isn't it?
What's interesting though is something you told me about, which is Pro Evo, which is going to become a online game, and it's going to be free to play. Well. Yeah, it's going to be free. So. I think they've retitled it. It's not going to be Pro Evo anymore. I can't remember what the title is, but that's going to be a purely online game now. So you know, I think you might see a few people start to go, let's give that a go.
I guarantee it won't be the last either.
No, right, but the problem is now, and I find it every year, and I was talking to someone the other day about this. Every year I'm excited to get the next FIFA because, you know, all the kits are updated, all the transfers are updated. Yeah. That's not a big fix, really, for them to do online if they wanted to. No. But you pay 50, 60 quid for a game, and I guarantee you most people will do the same. You play it for a week, and you'll go, I can't really see, you know, it's same. Not... Was it worth me forking out that much money? But anyway...
Which I guess... That's a positive for the online side of things. Yeah. Because like if you think, and again, I often use the comparison of Fortnite with something like that. Fortnite is a free game. You can like anyone can download that game and it's completely free. And you can play it and you can enjoy it really as much as anyone else can. The only time that you pay for stuff is really for cosmetics and that. You know, you can get a different outfit, or you can. It doesn't give you any tactical advantage. It's just quite purely like a visual thing. Yeah. And get items like that. But every like 3 months, let's say, it is completely reinvented. And you know, throughout that time, there are like seasonal events. They'll do an Easter event. They'll do a Christmas event. They'll do a Halloween event. They'll do like a live concert or whatever. So it's constantly changing. And I think that's a really cool thing. Like they literally will fix stuff as it goes along in that. And you know, I guess that's where Pro Evo may have like an advantage in that sense of something big happens in the world of football. They can just drop an update like that overnight. It's there, and you know it's great. And that is a real positive.
On FIFA, they do so many updates. So you get an update. I'm not joking. It's like every other week you'll get an update on there with some.
It's about 20 gig probably as well.
Which is great because you know people reporting, you know, glitches with it or whatever, and that's great that they can do that. But you know, there's got to be at some point where they offer support to the people that have been fans of the game and supported them for so long. But that's why EA Sports is such a huge company, I guess.
Exactly. They print money. That's
exactly.
Pretty much
this one surprised me because I didn't realise it was coming out so soon. But the 26th of October, Guardians of the Galaxy is coming out, and that game again, I'm sure it wasn't that long ago that I saw the trailer for that. The Avengers game, I think, fell a little bit flat by all accounts. I've not had it. You got the Avengers game?
Yeah, we've got the Avengers game. I've not sort of played it myself, but certainly observed my oldest and playing it. And we sat there sort of, because they were quite clever in the way they did it. They did like a beta that you could download, and then that would give you, I think it was like the first few levels or whatever you could play through. And it was a great selling point because it was fantastic. Like, you felt like you were in a Marvel movie. Is the only way I can describe it. It was fantastic. You know, first level, you was on this bridge, and the sort of bad guy, who I can't remember who he is, was there, and you're Hulk, and you're jumping across things and like smashing.
And you switch
stuff
between the characters.
And you switch between the characters. Then you're Black Widow, and it incredible. And what was nice about what they've done with that is they've had they introduced Black Panther into it. They introduced Hawkeye into it. I think I want to say there's another one as well. But all three, like the expansions that they did were free that they rolled out. So then, like, it really backs up what we said we wanted. There's a story mode to it, and they're saying to the fans in the game, "Don't worry, you've probably played.
We're working on this in the background,
but you're going to get this soon, and you get a whole load of content, and we're not going to charge you for it."
Yeah.
Which I thought was great. It was, I guess, the only thing you could say about it. For me, it did fall into a bit like I've moaned about with Gears of War, and that it is a bit, oh, you've got to go there and beat up those people. Oh, but then you need to go there and you need to do that. And it's a bit...
It's almost a bit copy and paste, just with different animations or whatever.
It's a bit guided, do you know what I mean? It's not like you can run around and do stuff. It's, you've got to beat that robot up now, and you beat that robot up, and then you can go a little bit further and beat another robot up, maybe. So it's a bit formulaic. But...
Which I guess is the difference with that and the other Marvel game, like Spider-Man, for example, which is free roaming, and there's side missions on it, and you've got the main storyline if you want to, but essentially you can go wherever you want.
Yeah.
So with Guardians, I'm interested to see, because I thought that would have been an add-on, but it looks like they want to create, you know, a separate one. I guess they have got to make some money somewhere, so it looks really good. I'm intrigued to see how that goes. And then November, two very similar games in the styles that they are. New Call of Duty, Vanguard, and Battlefield 2042, which I know you're kind of intrigued about.
Yeah, those sort of games aren't generally what I play, and it's been, I think I've said before, last Call of Duty game I played was probably Black Ops 2, which is probably 10 years ago or something like that, which I absolutely love. They're such well-made games. But to be honest, what's put me off a little bit of those recently is exactly, again, what we just talked about. They're very much focused on online, like the Battle Royale sort of thing.
Yeah.
And for a casual player like myself, I find it a little bit alienating, because you've got all these die-hard like Call of Duty fans, and I'm there like this, sort of like trying to get my bearings with my gun.
I'm the same.
And by the time I've done that, I'm dead probably. And it's you know,
it takes fun out of it. You don't want to play anymore. Yeah,
no.
I remember actually years ago playing my brother when he was, God, he must have been about 16.
Yeah.
And I'm 13 years older than him, so you can do the math. And we were playing. It was just me versus him, and literally I was going around everywhere, and then all of a sudden,
pop
shot,
one
shot, dead. And I go, where the hell were you? And I wouldn't mind, like, you know, it was just he was playing it a lot more than me, and he could get it. And I've got friends who are exactly the same. But yeah, I'm the same. I used to like them, but now, I mean, I downloaded, I want to say it was Black Ops 4 was available to download on PS5 not too long ago. And I thought, I quite want to do like campaign mode. I don't think there was one. I think it was purely all online. And I just got chucked straight into it. I think I had either a little handgun or a knife.
Yeah.
And then I was just getting torn up, especially with my internet as well. So it was proper laggy. So yeah. But anyway, some exciting games. Again, there are some other games. I mentioned to you there's a Need for Speed one. There's a new
No, you said Fast and Furious, wasn't
Fast
it?
and the Furious, that's it. And there's also a new farm simulator or something like that, tractor simulator coming out, which I thought.
But they're
Matt would want some of that.
huge, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like people are really into that sort of thing, and
Yeah.
like truck simulator and things like that.
Yeah.
And I don't really get it. I've never tried it, so I can't knock anyone who's into that sort of thing. But
There you go. We'll set the challenge now. Matt needs to download a farm or truck simulator, and he will give us a full review.
I'll be a
you
changed
heard it here
man.
first.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to finish up on music, and we don't talk a great deal about music on our show. It's kind of a bit of a rarity, so I wanted to dedicate a little segment to it because we're big music fans, both of us. Fight Style forever.
Good and bad. Yeah.
Good and bad. Yeah. But there's some big artists with some new albums coming out. We've got in the next couple of weeks Coldplay. We've got their new album, which is Music of the Spheres. Spheres.
I think Coldplay are one of those bands that it's too easy to make fun of. Like I think because they're such a commercial band and they've had such a huge success, people overlook how good they are. And the other day I was prompted by, just to slightly digress, I watched for the first time Garden State, the film, which is amazing.
Awesome film.
Absolutely loved it. And it's got a really good soundtrack.
Review coming soon.
But it starts with a Coldplay song, and it's one of the songs off of Parachute, so I can't remember the name of the exact song. But I thought, I really need to listen to that album again. And listening back to that album, it is incredible.
Start to finish.
For a debut album, you listen to that and you think, my God, this is so good. And yeah, they are. They're
You say
incredible
that, though.
band.
You say that, but Parachutes and Rush of Blood, was it Rush of Blood to the Head or Rush
To
of
the
Blood?
Head, yeah, that was it.
The first two albums, from start
Faultless.
to finish, were
Yeah.
impeccable.
They were.
Like, they were two of my favourite albums. I'll still listen to them today. And the problem is, the next one, which was Viva La something.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? I can't think what it was. Viva La something.
Viva La something, yeah. It just didn't do it for me. Just didn't do it. And that was, they tried to change, and we talked about this with certain artists earlier today, actually. I mentioned Linkin Park. Where an artist tries to change their style slightly, it can either go really good, and don't get me wrong, they still sold a shitload of albums.
Yeah, they still have great songs. I think if you look through, I don't know, if you went on Spotify and looked at This Is Coldplay and listened to all the tracks on it, you would still know all the singles that they had out. Like, whether you're familiar with the album or not, you think, oh wow, I forgot about this. Yeah, I think they're amazing.
Paradise.
Yeah, exactly, a song like that.
But the album I didn't like. But that song. But this is the problem. Great. I think with them first two albums, every song was awesome. That's the problem. Yeah. But
yeah,
hey,
exactly.
Listen,
but
let's
that's
see
often
what they
the
do.
case with a band, isn't it? You know, they'll and they always say it, like a band's first album or an artist's first album is the culmination of their entire life up to that point. Like everything they've ever done, they've worked to that point to do that first album. So it's going to be amazing. Unless you're Steps or someone like that, but it's going to be good. And then the same with the second one, really, it can go one or two ways. You'll either continue that success or you'll just completely rebel and do something that's completely different and it falls off. But anyway.
Well, the next couple which come out towards the end of October, there's a couple of classics in there, oldies. Duran Duran, and I mentioned Duran Duran because you were listening to one of their, was it a remastered album?
No. The one that I had in the track in the week recently was a brand new song. So
it must be coming off of this album then.
Yeah, and it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It was one of those things that just popped up and like, oh, Duran Duran got a new song out. I was like, really? No. And it's recommended to me because I love Duran Duran's like peak, like the Rio album and things like, and Girls on Film and those sort of songs, incredible songs.
Yeah.
And again, I think Duran Duran are one of those bands that are sort of pigeonholed in, oh, that's an 80s band. They did these catchy pop songs. But I think they were genuinely a very good band as well. And they used to do, me geeking out a little bit, they used to do like 12-inch remixes. I think they used to call them like the night mixes or something. So you would get the well-known song, but in this much longer format, more for the clubs that they used to do with all their songs and stuff. Brilliant. But yeah, and this new song sounds old Duran Duran to me, and it's done by a guy who's been around for years and years, a guy called Errol Alkan, who I'm probably pronouncing his surname incorrectly, but he's a very famous sort of DJ in sort of club circles, and has been really influential with his label Fantasy, I think it's called, in the last 20 years. So it's got quite a good pedigree to it as well. It's like, you know, great old band, but with a very respected newer person as such in the helm too. So yeah, definitely promising.
So that's Future Past, and that's coming out on the 22nd of October. On the same day, got two others. One's a legend, Elton John. The Lockdown Sessions. I mean, I'm not a massive Elton John fan other than the classics. I'm not, he's not a go-to for me to go and check out, but you know, could be something. The one that you'll be interested to hear, Lana Del Rey, new one. Blue Bannisters is the name of the album.
She's incredible, is all I can say. I just worship her music and everything she does. The thing is, with her stuff though, saying that, I love her voice, and it's just, yeah, you know, takes me to a place as such, just the tone of her voice and just some of the songs she's done. I must admit though, her last album, which wasn't that long ago, I think that was only last year maybe it came out, but time's blurred. The past couple of years, it could have been whenever. It's all
merged into one.
Exactly, it's all like one. Had some incredible standout songs, like some of the, I listen to it and think, wow, that's one of the best songs I've ever heard. But others not so much. It was quite a muted, quite a slow, sort of solemn album, and you do find that I was actually listening to it earlier to sort of think, be excited about the next one. I don't know, it's some really strong songs, but some that were, and it's quite soon her having a new album out, so. But she's already released a single from it called Arcadia, and that's a really good song. So sounds promising. Anyway, yeah.
Check it out once you've listened to I Am Matt Healy by We Are TWIM.
That's your priority.
That's your priority. I know this one's going to kind of get you back up. So strap yourself in, listeners and viewers. Yep. Ed Sheeran, Equals.
Yeah. I couldn't care less, if I'm honest.
What's your beef with Ed? Because I was a huge fan of Ed. I'm not so much anymore, because I feel, again, linked to what we were saying earlier about Coldplay going in different directions. I just feel like Ed stepped away a little bit. He's now, you know, he's what was it? His recent song, Bad Habits or something like that. Yeah, it was a bit clubby. It was a bit, but it just didn't. It weren't what I like from Ed Sheeran. And I know his album will probably have a mixture of things, but I feel he's gone in a different path now.
See, I've never been a huge fan of him. Like, at the beginning, I wasn't a huge fan of him. I'd hear a song and think, oh, that's all right. The one he did with Pharrell, Sing, was it Sing? Or
yeah.
Brilliant. No, it's got Pharrell on it, which is always a win in most cases. That was a really good song. But I found, particularly with his last album, it was such a sellout. Like, it was, I'm going to do these songs that are the most bland thing possible, that is going to have the biggest chart success possible. It wasn't like, there was very little artistic integrity in any of it. Like, it was purely a commercial venture, and that was it. You know, you had people like Stormzy on, like, oh, Stormzy's big at the moment, let's have Stormzy on, and you know, oh, I'll do a song with
that's right,
was it Khalid? It was someone like that again.
Khalid's one of his mates.
And that was a good song, actually. But again, he was an artist that was coming up. Right, we'll get him on, and we'll do something.
He
like
done
that.
a lot of collaborations, didn't he?
And it was just bland. Every single song was just like bland.
Beige.
Yeah, beige, like completely beige. But people lap it up, don't they? You know, that's the
The
thing.
problem is we've raved about him in the past. With there was that, I can't remember. He's obviously done loads of live gigs, but there's a song that he does where he'll play a part of the song and record it with the foot pedals and that, and then he'll get that on a loop.
Yeah,
and he layers it all up, and you think, wow, that's so
don't get me wrong,
talented.
he's a very talented man. But I think it's almost like a bit like, in a way, and not really on the same level to be honest, but a bit like Drake now. Like Drake has done some amazing stuff in the past, but the stuff now, it's just I
He
don't
released
think
one
he's even-
recently, didn't he? That you said was
I've switched off after about 5 songs. It was boring, absolutely boring. Is the only way I can describe it. Yeah. Whereas at least Ed Sheeran is sitting there like working out, I'm going to create a pop hit, and it may be beige, but it still ticks all those boxes of a pop hit. Like his recent one, Bad Habit. It's a catchy chorus. It uses a sample from a well-known dance song, and I can't remember what it is, but like it's from like 15 years ago or whatever, and so people think, oh, I recognise that, and that's quite good. Yeah.
this is the thing.
Terrible.
There's not. I mean, we're going to come on to the final one in a second, but there's not songs. When I listen to music now, and a lot of it is older songs, and Elton John's a prime example actually. When you think of some of his classics.
He shouldn't be
They're
making
unique.
music anymore, though. To be honest, it is my opinion with Elton John. He should.
Do you
pack it in.
think people like him would be better making music for new artists?
Yeah, maybe he should just stick to writing
Or
songs.
just-
But the thing is, with Elton John,
Or just put your feet up?
put your feet up and enjoy your money. You know, it's sort of. But Elton John never wrote his songs, did he? He did the music, and then Bernie Taupin did the words. So I guess he can. And to be fair with Ed Sheeran, he's written a lot of songs. Like so,
Yeah.
he
He
did a lot
one
of stuff.
for Bieber,
for,
didn't he?
Yeah. I can't remember what that song was, but that was a good song.
Love Yourself, something like that.
Yeah. I think that was it. Really good. He did ones for One Direction. I think he's even done them for like BTS and the K-pop stuff. So he's had quite a good output on that sort of thing. So, but I hope Ed Sheeran packs it in after this. Like, don't make any more music. Write songs for
Ed
other people,
Sheeran?
but yeah, Ed Sheeran. But this is the end. Don't do any more. And
He's still only young though, isn't he?
yeah, that's just for my selfish benefit. Like, don't make any more music. I've had enough now. Thanks.
You heard it here. Speaking of packing it in and never writing again, the final album, ABBA, they're back
It's madness, isn't it? Absolute
with
madness.
Voyage or Voyage.
Voyage, maybe.
Voyage.
Yeah.
And I believe it's one of, I don't know which one of their sons who's kind of producing it all and putting it all together. Do you think it's, again, just one final hurrah?
No, I think the danger with this, I think, is it will completely cheapen them as an act. Like, sort of, when, again, ABBA are a band because they're like in this cheesy Eurovision-esque sort of thing.
Yeah.
But if you sit down and listen to ABBA's songs, they are incredible. Like the songwriting, like everything about them is amazing. And yeah, even
I thought
like
you was gonna throw out a they are terrible. Then,
No, not all.
Which, you know,
I'm a huge fan.
we do.
like-
Well, we do have a Swedish listener, and she could potentially influence a lot of our other Swedish listeners. So yeah,
I'm a
good.
huge fan of ABBA.
Keeping them on side.
Yeah, love the Swedish people. But yeah, now really good songs. But it's easy. Like that, I think if you ask again the man on the street or whatever about ABBA, like, oh, it's Dancing Queen or whatever, and that's all they sort of think about. But they made incredible pop songs, like that you listen to now, and you would think that's an amazing song.
Yeah,
and it worries me. Like, I think they fell into the thing that I hate as well, which Ed Sheeran will probably do, is that when an artist gets to a point, there was that thing about, like, Queen did it with We Will Rock You, the musical, and then like Mamma Mia with ABBA, and like they were terrible films, and they were like terrible. And obviously, millions of people love them, and I don't, so I'm not the gauge of it. But you know, it's like, oh, let's write a really shoddy story about our songs, and we'll make some money, like doing musical theatre or whatever. It sort of cheapens it a bit, and I think them at their age, releasing an album now when they've not been doing anything really for a very long while, is that a good idea? Is it going to be good?
Well,
probably not, to be honest.
We'll only have to wait until the 5th of November to find out. So I feel like with the music that we've been talking about, we've really unlocked something in you, Matt. It's
deep
the
hatred.
rage, the deep,
It is,
deep hate of Matt.
Exactly. I think, listen to new artists. Don't forget about like ones that had stuff out 40 years ago. I Am Twim, I heard quite...
We Are Twim. Oh, it's not all about you, Matt. Anyway, well, I mean, we've talked a lot about the future there.
The future, and there's lots to look forward to, isn't there?
We didn't even talk about tech that's coming out in the future. Speaking of tech that's coming out in the future, today, I believe, the iPhone 13 was released. And I'm an Apple hater, so...
and that's probably like FIFA, though, isn't it? You know, it's got...
Exactly.
Apple have just taken something off it, and they'll charge you £800 for a new one.
Exactly.
That's generally what they'll do. So, yeah.
Exactly. Well, if you've got anything that you're excited for, music, games, or film, let us know. Tell us, and we'll check it out, and might even do a post about it. But in the meantime, I just want to give a quick shout out before we wrap up today, because me and Matt, obviously, as I'm sure most of you are aware, we work together. We was on a little work do last night, a little get together, and we told one of our colleagues, shout out to Sue, I hope you're listening to this one, Sue, about our podcast, which we're now in our 8th season. She wasn't even aware of, but she was buzzing when we told her about it, and she wanted all the links, bless her. And I hope that she's probably listened to at least one episode today. So, Sue, hope you're listening. Hope you enjoy it. But in the meantime,
we'll know if you haven't, because you'll have to listen to the end of this episode before you hear your shout out.
Exactly. But thank you if you have listened and watched and you've got to this point at the end of episode 3. Make sure you follow us on all the socials where we are. All the links are available in our link tree, which you'll find on whatever one you're following us on. And make sure you head over to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. We're at 90 subscribers at the moment. We really want to get to that next one, which is 100. Hey, and then we'll move on to 200. Pretty quickly,
1,000.
I imagine, afterwards. 1,000. We want to get to 1,000. We're setting a deadline until next week. We will update you on where we're up to. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as we did. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our future episodes.
Yeah, and you can also follow us on all social media, so you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok.